In the 2019-2020 financial year, Parliament has processed 8 loan requests presented by the Ministry of Finance of over 9 trillion shillings. These loans include 3 trillion shillings for budget support and for Bank of Uganda to maintain the country's balance of payment position during the COVID-19 pandemic, 1.2 trillion shillings for Kampala Jinja Express Highway, 1.7 trillion shillings for the construction of oil roads, 2.5 trillion shillings to finance the budget deficit of the 2019-2020 financial year, 663 billion shillings for power supply to industrial parks and grid upgrade, 425 billion to finance solar-powered irrigation and water supply system project, 86 billion for geophysical survey and geological mapping of Karamoja, and 167 billion for technical and vocational education and training support project. With the country's loan burden soaring, some legislators on the Parliament's Committee on National Economy say this trend is a cause for worry.
One, at what cost? Number two, the utilization of these loans. We have some of these loans which we signed up a long time ago. You find a loan for 8 years, you utilized only 2%, only 20%. But these loans usually have different charges. For example, the IDA loan, okay, we have one where 0.5% on undisbursed funds and 0.75% on disbursed funds. Those are annual rates.
We need to control the leakage when this money is borrowed. And once you control that leakage, it means you serve the purpose, the intended purpose. That's what we think about. But sustaining and paying, it's possible.
Surprisingly, today the Ministry of Finance presented another loan request of 372 billion shillings to support several projects in various ministries. Out of this, 201 billion is for the Ministry of Lands to support land administration and management reforms.
It has sensitization, it has staffing of the MZOs, because there is no way honorable members would they discuss about the staffing in 2 facilities which are not existing. Now that the facilities are there, we need to improve on administration, we need to staff them.
As of December 2019, Uganda's debt burden stood at 48.9 trillion shillings, with 31 trillion as external debt and 17.3 trillion as domestic debt. This implies that Uganda's debt to GDP ratio is just a few percentage points below 50%. And if Uganda was to use its 45.5 trillion shillings 2020-2021 financial year budget to finance the debt, it would still be 4 trillion shillings in debt. Out of the 45.5 trillion budget, about 13 trillion has been set aside for debt servicing. Committee Chairperson Saida Bumba, who is also a former finance minister, insists that Uganda's debt is still sustainable.
We borrow as we pay back. That's why the percentage is not going up so much. Like the last CDEP one, which was borrowed for the Minister of Tourism and the Minister of Lands, was more or less paid back within a period of 4 years. So that takes us back to where we are before we borrowed this money.
As government continues to borrow, a report of this same committee early this year indicated that there were very many non-performing loans, especially in the Ministry of Energy and Works and Transport. And this was mainly due to lack of counterpart funding from government to buy land, especially in the areas where these projects are supposed to be. Herbert Ziwa, NTV at Parliament.